Should employers be required to pay men and women the same salary for the same job? Although the Equal Rights Act still exists, I do not believe that paychecks between men and women are truly equal. Wage disparities are a huge issue, and with women making up almost half of the workforce, this takes a giant toll on the economy. The Equal Pay Act was an effort to correct a century-old problem of gender-based wage discrimination. Women made up a quarter of American workforce by the early 20th century, but were traditionally paid much less than men, even when they performed the exact same job. The Equal Pay Act of 1963 requires that men and women be given equal pay for equal work in the same establishment. The jobs don't have to be identical, but they need to be substantially equal. There's multiple factors that go into this, including skill, effort, responsibility, working conditions, and establishment. The gap is a problem because currently women make up 46% of the workforce, but account for only 1/5 of the country's annual GDP because of the lack of high-paying full-time work. Lower pay throughout their working lives mean that women contribute less to retirement plans, receive lower pensions, and lower Social Security benefits. This is a very eye-opening infographic that shows that in senior management and executive positions for different jobs, there is thousands of dollars of difference in how men and women are paid annually. The largest gap is for chief executives, and there is about a $30,000 pay gap. This is a graph of the highest paid U.S. men's job, and in purple you can see a typical woman's salary for each specific job. A woman working full-time year-round earns $10,000 less per year than a man. Based on median annual earnings, this adds up to nearly $500,000 over a career. After taking a look at the widest gender pay gaps, it's clear that men get paid a lot more for jobs that take a lot of education and training, whereas in the narrow gaps, jobs require little to no education or training. Now, I'll talk about the economic impact if the gap was closed. There will be a significant increase in earnings for millions of families across the country and a decrease in the poverty rate. 25.8 million would benefit from increased earnings of their mothers. The number of children whose families would be brought out of poverty is 2.5 million. According to data from the U.S. Census Bureau, the average gender pay gap in the U.S. is around 19.5%, meaning that on average, a woman earns 80.5% less than her male counterpart. Equal pay would reduce poverty for working women in each state. About 12.2 million children live in families with a single working mother. If mothers of these children were provided with equal pay, more than 8.3 million children would benefit from increased earnings, and the families of nearly 2 million children would be brought out of this horrible poverty. With a large wage disparity, the National Partnership Study concluded that a woman employed full-time in the U.S. will lose nearly $900 billion this year alone. There would be a huge increase in the United States economy if this gap was closed. The Institute for Women Policy Research conducted a study that the economy would produce an additional $512 billion if they were paid equally. It would also strengthen the economy. More income obviously adds to the economy. Increased earnings for women workers and their families will increase the economy because they are the lower income and middle income workers that are more likely to spend a larger portion of their income on consumption, boosting aggregate demand and leading to spillovers in the economy that encourage growth. The gap gets wider as women continue through their careers, affecting older workers most dramatically. Women between 45 and 54 years of age typically earn 70% of what their male counterparts earn. Mothers require time off for work when having children and suffer workplace-related consequences, not only in getting paid less, but also being refused raises, bonuses, and promotions. No matter how you analyze it, the gender pay gap is real, persistent, and harmful to a woman's economy. On Equal Pay Day 2018, which falls on April 10th, women still earned 80 cents on the dollar when compared to their male counterparts. And the pay gap is more pronounced for women of color. Executives and workplace leaders cite that the power is a key dynamic that can lead to sexual harassment and targeting of employees, and money, say, is power. The Institute for Women's Policy research shows that the pay gap won't be closed for women until at least 2059. We need to change the conversation on the pay gap and influence policymakers, journalists, and advocates to debate women's earnings. Employers should absolutely be required to pay men and women the same salary for the same job. This is a graph of the percentage of women currently in the corporate pipeline. It is so obvious that very few women are CEOs of major corporations. When women are paid unfairly and not given jobs where they can make a sustainable amount of income, there's a misallocation of human capital and women are less productive. This holds back economic growth. This next graph shows the weekly earnings for men and women both with and without children. Women with children earn less after returning to the workforce, while the opposite is true for working fathers. This final graph shows that the current poverty rate and estimated rate would be if a woman earned the same income as comparable to men. In every scenario, whether a woman is mother, single, or married, the poverty rate would be cut in half, if not more than that. This is an image of 10 powerful female leaders and executives who are part of the Me Too movement. CEO and co-founder of Rent the Runway, Jennifer Hyman, said, "Employees should band together and advocate for themselves, because corporations and leaders are listening now more than ever in history. So if women in an organization were to band together and demand equal pay, there's more of a chance that it's going to happen now."